subject followed by the verb and the object. However, a sentence is said to be in the passive voice if in the reverse order it takes the object followed by the verb and finally the subject. That's what we looked at last time. And we gave some rules that whenever a sentence changes from the active voice and written into the passive voice, there are certain notable changes and patterns to be followed in terms of the rules to be adhered to. An example we gave in the present simple passive, we are supposed to use am or is or are plus the main verb, which should be in the past participle. Just a reminder, we agree that am is used with I, is used with he, she, and it. Are is used with we, you, and they. And the main verb should be in the past participle. Consider verb like ain't in the present tense. In the past tense, it becomes ain't. And in the past participle, now it becomes eaten. Very fast, if you can consider another simple verb, beg your pardon, bring. The past tense of bring is brought, and the past participle is brought. So, in the present simple passive, you are entitled to use am, is, or are, plus the verb which appears in the past participle. Just an example in a sentence is the teacher marks our books, exercise books that is, every day. This sentence reminds us of what the teacher does every day. That the teacher every day marks the pupil's exercise box. Basically, we need to identify three things, as I told you in the previous lesson, that for us to be able to understand active and passive voice, in rewriting the sentences, first of all, from the passive active voice into the passive voice, identify the subject in the sentence, the verb in the sentence, and the object in the sentence. In this case, our subject is the teacher. The verb is mark. It is marked because of concord. A singular subject takes a singular verb. And our exercise books are, in this case, the object. So this sentence is subject, verb, object, which means it is in the active voice. To write it into the passive, you start with the object, in this case, our exercise box. Our exercise box. Exercise books are remaining. Since expressing plurality, we use are. So are. The main verb here is mark. We need to find mark in the past participle. Mark is present. Marked is past. Marked is past participle. So we take past participle, which is marked. So our exercise books are marked. And these exercise books are marked every day. As I told you, you can consider adding the subject or leave out the subject. So the sentence, the teacher marks our exercise books every day into the passive voice now becomes our exercise books are marked every day. That's what we looked at in the previous lesson, just a brief recap on what we discussed. Today, I would like us to look at direct and indirect speech. Indirect speech is also called reported speech. Basically, you need to understand that a sentence is said to be in the direct speech if it tells us or it reminds us of the following. That direct speech here, we are entitled to quote the spoken words from the speaker. The spoken words from the speaker, which means before we proceed, just like we did in the active and passive voice, we need to identify certain things in a direct and indirect speech. Already, we've come up with the word spoken words and the speaker. Three things are very fundamental here. One, identify who the speaker is in a sentence. Two, identify the reporting verb in the sentence. Three, identify the spoken words in a sentence. The spoken words are also called the speech words. The speech words or spoken words in simple and clear language. These are the actual words. These are the real words. These are the words said by the speaker. The speaker from the word speak is the one speaking, articulating, saying. So, from the speaker, we get the person saying the words. How does he say? Use the reporting verb. Is he ordering? Is he requesting? Is he commanding? Or is he just plainly putting across a given message? Then the spoken words, the words coming from the speaker's words. Consider this sentence. Juma said, I am sick. Juma said, I am sick. In this case, Juma is the speaker. Said is the reporting verb abbreviated as RV. I am sick are the speech words. The words which came out of Juma's mouth. So, in the beginning, I was trying to give the difference between direct speech and indirect speech. And I said that a sentence is said to be in direct speech if we quote the spoken words of the speaker. We quote these words of the speaker using the quotation marks. Using the quotation marks, which are also called the speech marks. You will buy it with me. There are two types of speech marks. One, we have what we call double speech marks, and two, single speech marks. So as I've said, we have one double speech marks, and 2 single speech marks. The speech marks are also called quotation marks, or alternatively, one can call them opening and closing inverted commas. Opening and closing inverted commas. Now, in quoting these spoken words of the speaker, we are entitled to use double speech marks, which appears like the 6s and the 9s. So, in direct speech, as I've said, we quote, we enclose the spoken words using the opening and closing inverted commas. Considering a sentence, Juma said, I am sick. Please note, there is an academic disease most learners suffer from. I am. The word I am, these are words from 2 different parts of speech, whereby I is a pronoun, subjective pronoun. Am is a helping verb, therefore under verbs. It is grammatically wrong if a learner writes, I am like that. This one, instead of I am, is read as am, and perhaps could be referring to a noun. So it's grammatically correct to say, Juma said, I am sick. Wrong to say, Juma said, I am sick. So, the spoken words as earlier on identified from the sentence are I am sick. Therefore, these are the words we are supposed to enclose using the opening and closing inverted commas. How are we going to enclose them? Look at what I'm going to do. First, at the commencement of the sentence, there should be a capital letter. After said, introduce a comma. Then place the 6s or opening inverted commas at the beginning of the speech words, which we have identified as Juma is the speaker, said is the reporting verb, I am sick are the speech words. Therefore, place the opening inverted commas at the beginning of the speech words, place a full stop after sick, and enclose using the closing inverted commas, which should come immediately after the punctuation mark. Point note, the punctuation mark here depends on the nature of the sentence. If the sentence is interrogative, then at the end, before the closing inverted commas, we need to end with a question mark. If the sentence is exclamatory, then at the end of the spoken words, we need to end with an exclamation mark. In such a circumstance, we end with a full stop. This is one way of writing a sentence in direct speech. 2 formats. The first format, you can start with the speaker, followed by the reporting verb, and ending with the speech words. That's the first format. Alternatively, you can start with the speech words, followed by the reporting verb, followed by the speaker. Alternatively, there are three, not two, rather. You can start the speech words, followed by the speaker, and ending with the reporting verb. The first one is already done. Juma, the speaker, said, reporting verb. I am sick, speech words. Alternatively, we can start the speech words, place the opening inverted commas. I am sick, the speech words, that is, place a comma, introduce the closing inverted commas, said Juma. And after Juma, ensure you place a full stop. That is pattern 2. Pattern 3, place the opening inverted commas, introduce the speech words, place a comma, place the closing inverted commas, Juma said. When you look at the three sentences, as much as they're expressing a common thought, there is a slight difference from the first sentence to the third sentence, particularly in terms of punctuation. In the first sentence, you find that the comma came immediately after said. We introduced the opening inverted commas, then the speech words, ended with a full stop and enclosed using the closing inverted commas. In the second sentence, we place the opening inverted commas, the speech words, a comma, closing inverted commas, the reporting verb, the speaker, then ended in a full stop. In the third sentence, opening inverted commas, speech words, a comma, closing inverted commas, to enclose the speech words, the speaker, reporting verb, then a full stop. Point note that these speech words at the beginning of the speech words, irrespective of the word starting at the beginning of the speech words, it must start in a capital letter. It's very important to note that. So these three sentences, viewers, are said to be in direct speech, whereby we have enclosed the spoken words, the speech words, the words said by the speaker, which are the real words, the actual words coming from the speaker's mouth, with the opening and closing inverted commas, alternatively referred to as quotation marks and the speech marks. Hope that one is understood. Now, what about now indirect speech? You realize that, as I've said, in direct speech, we quote the spoken words of the speaker using the opening and closing inverted commas. As the word goes, indirect, also called reported speech. Now, indirect or reported speech, here we report what the speaker said. We report what the speaker said. In the course of reporting what the speaker said, there are some notable changes which we need to look at keenly and see how, when changing a sentence from direct speech into indirect speech, what are these notable changes? First, we shall consider our former sentence, Juma said. I am sick. Juma said, I am sick. When you are putting this sentence, first of all, Juma shall affect I. Juma is a male and singular. This, therefore, shall remind us of masculine and feminine, what we call gender nouns. And in this masculine and feminine, Juma, therefore, is a he. The position of this I, therefore, shall be taken up by he. This said is in the past simple tense. And it will therefore affect. So Juma affecting I to become he. Said affecting since Juma is he, in its real form is more or less is. This is changes into was. Then sick remains. Therefore, rewriting a sentence, Juma said, I am sick. From direct speech into indirect speech becomes Juma said that he was sick. If you look at the two sentences, there's a slight notable difference. Juma has been retained, said has been retained, a comma has been replaced by that. I replaced by he. Am replaced by was. And sick has remained. Therefore, there is a notable change in pronouns and there is a notable change in verbs. This leads us to the first rule. And before that rule, it's also important to note that the opening and closing inverted commas have not been repeated in indirect or reported speech. When you are reporting, you don't use the opening and closing inverted commas. We are not supposed to use the opening and closing inverted commas. So, this leads us to the first rule, that present simple tense becomes past simple tense. Present simple tense becomes past simple tense. Just like in a sentence, Juma said, I am sick. It has become, Juma said that he was sick. Point note, it is not mandatory that the word that should be there. In this sentence of Juma said, I am sick, it can be written as Juma said that he was sick. Alternatively, we can say Juma said he was sick. Still, that sentence is grammatically correct. Point note on the same rule. Consider the following sentence as taught in class 5. Sentence number 2. Amina says, I am a girl. Amina says, I am a girl. This sentence is expressing universal truth. This sentence is expressing universal truth or general truth, if not a fact in simple language. So sentences expressing general truth or a fact are never, in this case, from present simple changed into the past simple. So Amina says, I am a girl. In indirect speech, the sentence remains unchanged and it becomes, Amina says. The notable changes will only appear, Amina affects I. Therefore, I becomes she. With respect to subject and verb agreement, now takes is because of presence of she. As I told in the previous lesson, goes with I. So Amina says, I am a girl. And a girl remains unchanged, therefore becomes, Amina says she is a girl. The same applies to the following. The teacher said, the world is spherical. The world is spherical. That's another sentence expressing universal truth or a general truth or a fact. That sentence also remains unchanged. That the teacher said the world is spherical remains. The teacher said that the world is spherical. You don't say that the teacher said that the world was spherical, which means at that time it was spherical, today is rectangular, tomorrow it will be oval. If you say Amina says, I am a girl, then you rewrite, Amina says she was a girl. At the time in the past, Amina was a girl. Today, Amina is a boy. Tomorrow, Amina could be a hyena. So these are facts, and facts never change when you are writing from direct speech into indirect speech. So what can we conclude today, dear viewers? That when someone talks about direct speech, he will be referring to quoting the spoken words of the speaker. However, indirect speech, he will be referring to reporting what the speaker had said at the time he was speaking. And these are some of the notable changes that you can see when writing the sentence from direct speech into indirect speech. Today, we have only looked at one rule, present simple tense that becomes past simple tense. With the three examples we have looked at, Juma said, I am sick, becomes Juma said that he was sick. 2, Juma says, Amina says, I am a girl, becomes Amina says she is a girl. The teacher said the world is spherical. The teacher said that the world is spherical. Until the next time, when we shall look at other rules, I beg to leave you with 3 questions or 5 for practice. 1, rewrite the following sentences into reported speech. This can be part of your homework. Rewrite following sentences into indirect speech. 1, Muna says. Already we have discussed that it can be direct to you. So Mona said, I am well. Number 2, Mr. Onyango said, the sun rises in the east. Bakar said, eggs are rich in proteins. Thus can be 3 questions for practice. Please take note of the notable changes we have explained in the lesson and do these 3 questions for practice.